Hi guys, this is gsnmount.com and I'm here with the iPhone 7 Plus for a full review. We've already reviewed the iPhone 7 and now we have the 5.5 incher for a full test. It was announced earlier this fall with the iPhone 7 and is the first dual camera handset from Apple. You can see dual camera at the back, and as you can already figure out, we are testing the jet black 128GB version. And now let's get to the pricing. So the 32GB iPhone 7 Plus goes for $769, while the 128GB one $869, and finally the 256GB $969. Now this handset here is available in other colors as well, not only jet black. It comes in regular black, silver, gold or rose gold. Now as far as the design is concerned, it still relies on a metal unibody case, but it does not feel like metal because of the special treatment applied in the jet black version. I detailed it in the unboxing. Basically, it takes the slab of aluminum, it drags it through powder, it subjects it to electric current, it creates pores in it. They put the special black dye in and then apply special iron particles, and that's that. The result is a very, and I mean very slippery phone that attracts grease and prints at the back, and it's also very easy to scratch, so you should use a case at all time. It's harder to make, so it makes it rather exclusive. Of course, it's very elegant, like this piano black styling. The phone measures 7.3mm in thickness, which is the exact same thickness of the iPhone 6s Plus, and it weighs 188 grams, which is a bit less than the 192 grams of the iPhone 6s Plus. It's also 50 grams heavier than the iPhone 7 and 31 grams heavier than the Galaxy S7 Edge. It's a very long phone, so one-hand usage is kind of hard and almost out of the question. Now I have to mention that the dual camera at the back protrudes quite a bit and it may drag on a flat surface. The buttons are pretty comfy, this one here and those here, but the home one is a bit strange to get used to because it's no longer mechanical, it's a touch button. This is a very long and heavy phone compared to other 5.5 inches, but you can get accustomed to it if you want to sacrifice the beautiful design and cover it up with a case, because it's very easy to scratch, stain and other things. It keeps the same general format as the predecessors. We got the antenna lines moved closer to the bottom and top. Of course, this black version doesn't showcase it as well. And finally, it's water and dust resistant in the IP67 standard. Now, with the design checked out and feeling elegant but not as comfy as you'd expect, we go to the display. This is a pretty bright IPS LCD with LED backlight, 5.5 incher, that offers a full HD resolution and white color, and of course there's 3D touch as well here with the extra options related to widgets and other such things. You already know 3D touch, you've seen it in action quite a few times before on the iPhone 6s, 6s Plus and the iPhone 7. Now it's time to check out some videos and actually test the screen abilities. Okay, so conclusions regarding the screen. The colors are pretty vivid, the screen is quite bright, the image is crisp, we have a pretty good contrast and wide view angles. And even though the colors pop out quite a bit, they pop out less than on an AMOLED panel, for example. Now we also did the other battery of tests and let's see what came out. I'm talking, for example, about the pixel setup here, so let's see that under the microscope. This is the RGB stripes pixel arrangement of the screen under the microscope, and then we proceeded to do a test, a brightness test, and we achieve a level of 418 lux units, which is just good. It's unexpectedly low for an iPhone, but in real life it feels much higher. It beats the LG G5 and the Lee Echo Le Max 2, for example. However, this result places this iPhone 7 Plus below the iPhone 6s and its huge 618 lux, and below the iPhone 7 and its 532 lux. Once again, in spite of this result, in real life, in regular use, the screen feels bright enough and the contrast is very solid. Now when it comes to the settings for the screen, we got them here. We got the auto brightness, regular brightness, night shift, which makes the screen offer warmer colors so as not to disturb your sleep, auto lock, raise to wake, text size tweaked here, and bold text and the option to view things in a standard or zoomed way. Okay, so those are the screen options. I would say it's a pretty solid screen, but the brightness isn't exactly what we expected compared to the other iPhones. Now on to the CPU front. So this phone has a powerful Apple A10 Fusion CPU, a quad-core unit, the same one from the iPhone 7, only this time we get 3GB of RAM, unlike the iPhone 7's 2GB, and unlike the iPhone 6s Plus, 2GB of RAM as well. The storage was already discussed, and of course there is no lag here. You can open as many apps as you want. As you can see, we used a ton of apps and experienced no lag whatsoever. Also played games and they worked out just fine, including our usual benchmark title, which is Riptide GP Renegade. And it runs just fine on this very powerful CPU GPU combo. Okay, so let's choose a character here. Skip this and check out the quality gameplay. Skip. The controls are quite responsive and you will never see water as nice looking as this one on most of the flagships this year. Trust me, you can try this on the Galaxy S7, LG G5, HTC 10. The water never looks so stunning. Maybe on the consoles, but other than that, simply great. Just check out the lighting, the textures, everything is simply fantastic looking. Now that the gaming checks out, it's time to talk about other aspects, and other aspects include benchmarks. So let's see them. We did the usual battery of benchmarks, of course not exactly the usual one since this is iOS, not Android, and we started off with a huge result in Antutu 6. It's of course the phone placed on the first spot all time, so it beats all the other phones we ever tested with a 177K score. It's 30K above the OnePlus 3, and we also did other benchmarks like this one here. It's base OS 2. It's the first spot from all the phones we tested yet again, and this is Ice Storm Unlimited with about 300 points below the iPhone 7, very small difference, and about 7K points above the OnePlus 3, so once again shining. In Geekbench 4, once again first spot in the single core test and multi-core test, beating all the other phones we ever tested, so basically an all-around top spot benchmark handset. We also did temperature tests and let's see how those came out. So we achieved 34.9 degrees Celsius after running the game Riptide GP Renegade, so there's no overheating, and after running GFX Bench 37 degrees, so once again no overheating. Now as far as the battery is concerned, this is a handset that has a 2900 mAh lithium ion unit. It's a jump from the predecessor's 2550 mAh battery. On paper we are promised 1 hour longer usage than the predecessor, or 16 days of standby, or maybe 60 hours of audio playback, or 14 hours of video playback. Now in our test, let's see exactly how much we achieved. Okay, so here we go. We achieved 9 hours and 49 minutes of continuous HD video playback in a loop, which places the iPhone 7 Plus on the 47th spot all time. It's good, but I expected a bit more. It beats the Zenfone 3 ZE520KL and the LG V10, but scores below the iPhone 6 and its 11 hours and 30 minutes, below the Galaxy S7 and its 13 hours and 41 minutes, and below the iPhone 7 and its 12 hours and 25 minutes. As far as continuous usage goes, we don't have a test for that. I basically just used the phone. It got easily to 1.5 days or maybe 2 days of usage, which is okay, on par with the modern requirements. Charging is sadly too long. I feel that 3 hours and 16 minutes in 2016 is a lot. It's identical to the iPhone 6 Plus, so nothing has evolved here. Now we also have power saving options, nothing too complex. Go to battery and activate low power mode, and that's that. Frankly speaking, I expected only a bit more in the video playback section and maybe a shorter charging time. Now, as far as the acoustics go, as you can see, there is no audio jack here or here, of course, and this is the demo unit, so it didn't come with bundled lightning earpods. Anyways, we got the set of speakers here, so we got an array of speakers. There are 2 speakers here. We got one in the earpiece and one at the bottom, creating stereophony. Now for the music playback, I'm going to have to use Apple Music, which has a new interface courtesy of iOS 10. And let's actually listen to some tunes that we have on this device. Okay, so what you saw before was a test. I covered both of the speakers, each at its own turn, so you could feel what was lacking. One covers the bass and one covers the high notes, so you can actually tell that. So the experience is loud and clear. We have a good bass, there's a nice voice rendering, and it's overall an excellent sound in all types of songs, hip-hop, electronic, rock, whatever. And the back of the phone tends to vibrate quite a lot, so keep that in mind. Now we also did some decibel meter tests, maybe a bit more complex than usual, so let's check those out. Okay, so let's see the test results. Let's see what we got here. So we were able to achieve 77.7 decibels at the front side and the top speaker, which is this one here, and 84.5 decibels when using the bottom speaker. And we also achieve another value when using another type of audio test. We achieve 89 decibels. So when using our usual audio sample, the lower values appear. Then when using a game or movie, this is the value that appears in the core one. This is a pretty solid result, and we were dangerously close to one of the best phones we tested, the OnePlus One, and it's 90.5 decibels, which was a record here for a long time at gsndome.com. And we also surpassed the iPhone 6s Plus and the Huawei P9, which is no small feat. Now we go to the settings area, and when it comes to the music, we also have special options here. Not here, but rather here. You get equalizer with the special options. Then we have the volume limit and a special EU volume limit and sound check. Once again, pretty sad we don't have lightning earpods, but we made those work with the iPhone 7, so you know what to expect from the experience. Now it's time to address the camera. It's no regular camera, it's a dual camera at the back, and we have quite a few things to say about it. Now we get two 12 megapixel cameras here. There's one with a wide angle f1.8 aperture and one with a telephoto setup f2.8 aperture. We are offered optical zoom up to 2x, digital zoom up to 10x, optical image stabilization, 6-element lens, and a quad LED flash here, plus the promise of white color. That's the main camera. Now the front camera is a 7 megapixel shooter that can trigger full HD videos and also has a retina flash. Basically the screen lights up a lot. Okay, so this is the camera interface, nothing you haven't seen before, and the camera app starts up fast. We have a very fluid zoom. Of course, there are other ways to zoom. We got this 2x instant optical zoom, which is excellent. And you can also do this, keep pressed here and play with this semicircular slider for an excellent zooming experience. Picture taking is quite fast, typical for an iPhone. I would say quite fast, not the fastest, seems a tempo slower than other iPhones. And focusing is crazy fast, I would have to say. Now as for the other options, we get the usual effects here. Then we have the timer, we got the live pictures, HDR and its options, flash and its options, and then we got the main capture modes. We got panorama, there's square, there's also something new, it's called portrait and creates a depth effect, which you'll see later on is the famous bokeh effect applied thanks to the dual camera setup. Then photo, video, slow-mo and time-lapse, and of course we also have these special options from the settings area. And let's go to the camera front, photos and camera, and here you can tweak the video recording. You can go to 4K if you want, full HD 60 frames per second, or slow-mo in two options, full HD or HD at 120 or 240 frames per second. As usual, we took hundreds of pictures to test the camera, and here they all are, 452 of them, quite a lot. So let's start with those taken during the day. So we start with the daytime shots with an excellent HDR that really highlights the contour of objects. So regular shot, HDR shot with everything being much clearer. And we also did a zoom test or two, so church from distance, church zooming in, and the results are quite good for a pair of 12 megapixel cameras. I have to say that it was a very, and I mean very cloudy day, and in spite of that the colors are pretty solid, and I'm talking about the hues of blue, green or yellow in this end of November gallery. Now when it comes to the panorama, it has a pretty good resolution, it's quite clear, 16,382 pixels over 3628 pixels. You can see it's perfect, no strange artifact or curved image, looks simply great. You can zoom in all you want on these samples and you will be happy with the result, and you can also zoom in using the option I showed you before, like we did on these ducks, and levels are excellent. Of course, if you zoom in up to 10x you will lose some quality, but not a huge amount, which is quite impressive. So in general I was happy with the colors here, with the clarity, the brightness, the exposure and all that. Of course we also photographed colorful subjects, and one thing I always noticed in the iPhone 7 Plus capture, the contours of objects are very well highlighted, the clarity is excellent, and even though these colors seem to pop out, they're actually very pragmatic and realistic. And once again, a shout out for the HDR. By the way, these are the live photos in case you're wondering. And we also did very nifty close-ups, but those were made even better by using the special depth option. So depth effect is here, and it involves the second camera that I showed you before, the portrait option. So two cameras here, and we can play with the depth effect. So let's start with this shot. Then we got this one here. Basically the subject in the foreground becomes very clear and the one in the background becomes blurry, or vice versa, and the one that's clear gets more highlighted than usual. Couple of examples here. This one probably speaks the best. We got this acorn that's very clear and the background that's very blurry, and it makes it stand out. That's the whole idea of having a dual camera in the first place, which makes it kind of gimmicky if you ask me. The overall quality of the camera was good during the daytime. We also had some shots here in the shade with some peacocks walking around, excellent clarity, and when zooming in everything remained just fine. Nice live photos, but overall if I go back last year and look at the iPhone 6s Plus pictures, not much has changed in quality and clarity, so I cannot feel the jump here. Now don't worry, because we also have some selfies taken with the 7 megapixel camera, and yes, it's a very good selfie camera, but once again the iPhone 6s Plus also had an excellent camera, so there may be only a jump in skin texture and brightness. Other than that, no total upgrade. It's one of the best selfie camera on the market, that's for sure, but if you place a shot from the last year iPhone and this iPhone one next to the other, it's very hard to tell between the two. Anyway, those are the daytime shots. It's a very good camera and it can fight the Galaxy S7 and the LG G5 on equal terms, but the dual camera thing feels a bit gimmicky for starters. Now it's time to address the low light shots, and here we go. I have to say they're quite clear, the lighting is good, the halos are a bit on the long side, much longer than we're used to. They have those trail lights going to the top, and frankly speaking the flash makes things seem a bit too white for my taste. Of course we don't have the problems with the violet or blue hue of the Xperia XZ at least, but we got those annoying trails of lights that are triggered here. Good clarity, good lighting and good texture, but the flash makes things a bit too white. I feel that overall it's below the Galaxy S7 and the HTC 10 when it comes to low light capture, and should keep that in mind. It's probably on par with the best Asus or Huawei mid-rangers and flagships. I actually went back and looked at some iPhone 6s Plus nighttime capture, and you cannot tell between the two, and sometimes those from last year feel a bit better. Now that we're done with the photos and the conclusion is that during the daytime we're on par with the big shots, during the nighttime we're below them, it's time to discuss the video capture. So let's see what that is about. So we have 15 videos. We got videos taken during the day, during the night, 4K, slow motion, whatever you want. Let me start with the most spectacular one. We got a slow motion of a peacock, which looks simply stunning. No, not this one, but rather this one. It's basically the best shot I've ever taken with any phone in my whole life. It looks like National Geographic material, which goes to show we have a very good camera when it comes to the filming. It's MOV format, you can film in Full HD 30 frames per second, 4K or Full HD 60 frames per second. This is slow motion at either 120 or 240 frames per second. And now let's see a regular video during the daytime, Full HD, 30 frames, or in this case I'm guessing it's 60 frames because it looks more cinematic than usual. Excellent clarity, brightness, exposure, the microphone is top notch, and even when you zoom in you will not lose quality. So I'm very happy with the video capture. The 4K looks majestic, but I have one problem here. I tested the stabilization and frankly speaking it could have been a bit better. Yes, the image is stabilized okay, but sometimes you will lose a bit of focus when walking a bit faster, and there's a bit of flickering as you walk around. That's probably my only objection. The microphone has no problem with the wind. We have an excellent microphone, excellent clarity, excellent whatever, absolutely nothing to object in the video field. The problem is that the predecessor was also good when filming, so the upgrades feel more minor here. Now during the night, this is what the video capture looks like. Once again, great microphone, you can hear all the voices in the square, the music, the atmosphere, excellent clarity, nice lighting even, and the zoom quality, you will see that's quite nice. It's one of the best video taking phones of the year. I have a hunch that it's good for concerts as well because it has a very good microphone, and it can fight the Galaxy S7 Edge and the Xperia XZ for the title of the best concert going phone. Still, the iPhone 6s Plus was also very good, so the upgrade is at about 10 or 15%. Now let's see other aspects of the iPhone 7 Plus. Now as far as the web browser is concerned, we're dealing with Safari here, and let's load up our website and see how it's handled by this web browser. As you can see, it's very, and I mean very fast, and that's also confirmed by its excellent benchmark result, which I've shown you before, but let's check it out again to reassure ourselves. So in SunSpider we scored an incredible 194 ms, possibly the best that any browser can score. Now as far as the input goes, this is the virtual keyboard. It's very comfy, and this is the keyboard in landscape mode, also with some extra shortcuts here related to the quicker text interaction. Now when it comes to the connectivity section, the options are exactly the same as we left them on the iPhone 7. We got Wi-Fi, A, B, G and AC with MIMO, Bluetooth 4.2, NFC, GPS, GLONASS, LTE of the category 9, VoLTE, HD voice. We got a lightning port here at the bottom. We get of course a nano SIM card slot, AirPlay and Wi-Fi calling. Now the actual calls they're loud and clear. One of the loudest iPhones ever, this one, the iPhone 7 Plus, and excellent noise cancelling. We also did a speed test and the results were quite good. These are the results we achieved in speed test. We achieve a maximum value in the Wi-Fi test of 374 Mbps download, 25 Mbps upload, which is quite good, and in 4G LTE 136 Mbps download, 45 Mbps upload, also excellent results, and by the way, they surpassed the iPhone 7. Now it's time to discuss the OS, UI and applications. We already covered it extensively in the iPhone 7 review, so I'll be pretty brief. As you can see, you no longer need to swipe to unlock the device. You just press home and it's unlocked, so the swipe motion is gone. Now in the leftmost area of the screen, you are greeted with the Today area, basically a collection of widgets related to the pre-installed or third-party apps. You can see them here. We got Siri, weather, map destinations, calendar, Dropbox, favorites, etc. So this is the area here, which can also be accessed from the lock screen, which is quite useful. Now the control center, available with a swipe up, now has two windows, one for the media playback and one for the connectivity toggles, which have a new color when selected, which is blue. Possibly the biggest change that's available in iOS 10, well, it's iMessages. It now has a ton of new features, so if you want to say something to someone, there's a lot of ways to do it. So you can apply effects on top of photos, you can send photos, and you can scribble around, you can draw with one finger, tap, send a fireball, kiss. So let's try and send a kiss. Well, we just sent a heart anyways. More options are shown here. Of course, you can draw if you want, provided you're good at this, and then you can send your message, and you can draw on top of pictures and on top of videos. And by the way, the iMessage has its very own store. You can share the music you're listening to, and let's see what else. So you can go to the special store for it and get your stickers and a ton of other things. Even games have been included here. So iMessage has evolved into a sort of ecosystem of its own. And when you have something written here, you can keep this pressed. Let's go again. Okay, so try again. Well, as far as I know, you should be able to keep it pressed in order to maybe. Let's try again. Okay, so you should keep it pressed. Here we go, finally. So you can slam, you can say it loud, say it gentle, use invisible ink, which basically sends the message and it's all jumbled up, and then you swipe to clear it, and then you can play with a bunch of effects on the screen, confetti, lasers. So that's iMessages in a nutshell with all of its novelties and its very own store. Now Photos has also been upgraded, and its upgrade includes a memories section. Let's try and find it. The memories, here we go. This is memories, and you can create basically a collage of your last week with nifty music and a collection of pictures, basically like the HTC Zoe. So this is an example. Takes all my pics and vids, compiles them into this clip. The movie has been created. Okay, so a collection of the things I photographed on that exact day, so that's very nice. Other things in iOS 10, Siri has been opened to developers. You can send money through it, you can call an Uber. The interface is basically the same as before, nothing has changed here when it comes to the actual looks. And things that have changed, well, Apple Maps now can offer you proactive suggestions. You can see some of them here, and it can also inform you where you left your car, which is quite useful. Other novelties, well, we have the Home app pre-installed. It allows you to control your smart home system, your lighting, and security cameras and so forth. And the home button has changed. It's no longer mechanical, it's just touch now, but it can simulate the press, the mechanical press, with a special type of vibration, with a special small motor inside. Now, as far as Touch ID is concerned, let's give it a go. So we go to Touch ID and Passcode, iPhone unlock, secure it with a password, use code because it's weak, and okie dokie. So now let's see just how fast we can unlock the device by pressing here. And 90 degrees. Okay, and 180 degrees. And as you can see, worked like a charm, very fast. The animation was kind of slow, but the actual unlocking was nice. The pre-installed apps, well, there's the basic package you saw on the iPhone 7, 32 pre-installed apps, and luckily you can remove some of them if you want. Let's see what we got here. So if you want to remove, for example, tips, you can remove it. You can remove compass, contacts, find friends, and find iPhone, and even voice memos, or at least hide them better. So that's one of the other novelties. Multitasking, it's still done like this. A collection of horizontally scrolling big thumbnails, which are closed by swiping up. The clock app now has a bedtime reminder, and the vibration, the feedback of the button offers you 3 modes, a lighter, medium, and stronger one. Photographs have received new editing features, and well, not exactly new. The markup features from last year's email app are now available here. You can see all of them here. We can turn a picture in various ways, apply a bunch of effects, play with light, color, and black and white, and finally we got a markup section, which I mentioned before and which was available only in the Mail app before. So that's basically everything that we can say about iOS 10. Once again, we got the 32 pre-installed apps. You can remove most of them, and most of them are pretty familiar. This is the calendar, that's the camera, that's the maps. Wallet is basically the same as before. Notes, your note-taking app lets you scribble stuff and do whatever you please, bullet points and so forth. You got health, taking care of your activity, mindfulness, sleep and reproductive health, for example, and settings, which is as jumbled as ever, pretty chaotic, needs a revamp, maybe next year. So we're at the end of the review of the iPhone 7 Plus. Let's see the pros and cons here at gsmdom.com. So on the pro side, it's certainly an elegant phone, particularly in the jet black version. It has the best performance on the market right now. We have a very solid screen in spite of the brightness level we measured, solid acoustics, great bass, and I have to say that the selfies are very good. Video capture was excellent, maybe even the best I've seen in the last half a year, and the pictures detail quality is good when zooming in. We have a solid connectivity, waterproofing is of course welcome, and iMessage is one of the most appealing things about iOS 10. Now on the cons side, frankly I expected more in some aspects like battery, brightness, the main camera shooting, especially during the nighttime, and the home button feel isn't the same for purists. The jet black version is very easy to scratch. There's a bit of focus loss when stabilizing video on the go. The design at the core of the format has remained the same from the predecessor, and finally the phone is quite slippery. In the end, this is not worth an upgrade if you have an iPhone 6s Plus. You can actually hold on to it easily, mostly because the camera doesn't exactly perform much better than it. I have to say that the battery is actually a bit inferior, but the core here remains the power, the good selfies, and the bokeh effect of the camera, and maybe the jet black. That's the whole different package from the predecessor. If you have an iPhone 6 Plus, maybe it's worth the upgrade. If you have a 6s Plus, hold on to it for another year. And the dual camera feels more like a gimmick in the end, at least for us. So this has been the review of the iPhone 7 Plus here at gsmdom.com. Hope you enjoyed. Bye bye.